Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have JM Ryerson on the line, and he's CEO over at Let's Go Win. JM, welcome to the show.
Adam, thanks so much for having me, brother. I really appreciate it.
Oh man, you're the man that I want to have on the show today for this topic. So taking people from fear to freedom. So I'm excited to get into that with you. But before we do, I do want to go a little bit further into what you're doing over at Let's Go Win. Tell us a little bit more about your company, please.
Yeah, Let's Go Win is dedicated to helping people overcoming self-limiting beliefs. And so the tagline, fear, taking people from fear to freedom, that's really what we believe in, because so many people operate from a fear base, and it restricts what they can actually accomplish or what they choose to accomplish. And I try to keep the word hate out of my mouth, man. It's not something I'd like to say, but when it comes to overcoming self-limiting beliefs, I hate self-limiting beliefs. So we are all about helping people reach their potential, really come into, their own when it comes to achieving their goals, peak performance and leadership. So our mission is helping people increase their leadership, enhance their culture, and overcome their self-limiting beliefs.
So I see here, a best-selling author. You're a performance coach. Tell us a little bit more of the nuts and bolts of the kind of content that you put out, and how people should engage. Yeah,
so the book specifically I actually wrote I have two boys, and what I wanted is if I were to pass away tomorrow, that they had a lot of the lessons and philosophies that I learned from my parents, my grandparents, authors, mentors through the years, so that they didn't have to make all the mistakes that maybe I made along the way, and it was a guide. And so when I wrote the book, somebody told me, they said, "I didn't think of you as a selfish person." I said, "I didn't think I was either." And they said, "Look, if you share this with only two human beings, you are being selfish." And you know what? She was absolutely right. So it took us on this path to really open it up to the world and say, these are pretty basic, common sense, I think, but putting yourself in a position to win every single day. There's some simple things that people can do to really do that. They're not complex, but it's not necessarily something that people know about, or they're willing to spend, 30, 40, 50 books a year to find this stuff out. And so in one condensed version, the book was all about, if you hopped on an airplane from LA to New York, you could finish it and have some real applicable nuggets that you could use. And the company falls right in line with that.
And that's awesome. And at the end of this, I'm going to give you an opportunity to leave, of course, your website, the book name, title, all the other good stuff, because I want people to engage with your content because you're doing some amazing things. But before we do that, let's get into this. So taking people from fear to freedom, you gave us a flavor. Let's go further. So what can people do?
So the first thing to do is realize how much your habits, whether they're good and or bad, are actually you're on autopilot. Now, what's interesting about that is they say about 80% of our hardwires are put into us before we even have a long-term memory. So by the age of 5, 80% of what's going to run us, that's been put into us before we had a real opportunity to make a decision. Now, our parents were always trying to do the best they could for us, but that doesn't mean that their story should be ours. So that's the first step that we like to dive into, is really figuring out what hardwires are running you. Are they good? Are they bad? Then looking at, again, habits, simple stuff like putting your goals in your mirror and then actually setting you up to hit those. There's some really simple, basic tools that people could be doing on a daily basis that puts them in the best position to win. And so that's where we start, Adam, is we really just look at, okay, what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What's getting in your way? And the majority of the time, it's fear-related that they don't choose to do this, like some of the amazing things you're doing, right? You've overcome any fears that you may have had. You're providing so much value to the world. We want more people to do that. So that's what we're all about over at the company.
So I get what we're talking about today. So overcoming fear, and I know that, and I know this is going to change, by the way, from person to person, but, and like you said, how they're brought up, lots of different things. But nobody wants to be in this state of fear or being held back. And what do you think? I mean, you've helped so many people. What are some of those common themes of why people kind of just remain stuck there instead of going forward?
Yeah, the first question they forget to even ask is, again, fear stands for false evidence appearing real. So the first thing I always ask is this real? Is this fear of whatever? So for instance, my son, he's afraid of needles. Is that fear real? Well, yes, the fear is real, but ultimately we talk about what happens if he does or does not get the shot that he needs to have to be healthy. And so we establish, yes, the fear is real. However, what you're trying to accomplish or what you're trying to reach is just over that other side of fear. So if we can recognize that it's there, okay, cool, we got that. Now we're going to move. Action, when you're moving and you're doing action, you don't allow that paralysis of fear to take place. And there's a science behind it. We don't have time to dig into it, but your endorphins are firing, and now you're not so fixated on whatever that fear may be once you start moving. And so those are the first two things that I always like to take people through. Let's ask the question, is it real? Yes, the fear is real. Okay, cool. Now, what is on the other side of that fear if we can practice some courage? And courage truly a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it gets. And again, we can create that habit of courage by just taking one small step. And then we repeat it again the next day. And next thing you know, now the courage is overcoming some of these fears. So that's just a little, starting point is it real? And then let's start moving. Let's have some, let's practice courage. Let's have some fun. That's the other thing people forget. Life is too short. Have some fun. Get moving. And next thing you know, you won't even remember whatever that fear was.
Man, that's exciting. And I get it. And you're right. And I bet you, though, in your experience, because I know in mine, this false events appearing real, and I've been saying that for many years, and I believe it 100%. And the thing is, if I have to say just in my own life, picking on myself, by the way, when you get to that first step of asking the question, is it real? Probably like 75% of the things aren't real, at least in my experience. What kind of percentages do you normally think? Because a lot of times it's like, wait a minute, I'm making this up. This isn't real. Like, this may not happen. I can't live in the future of could this happen.
No, you're so right. And I don't know the exact percentage, brother. It's extremely high. The beautiful thing about our minds are we are so creative. The challenge with that is we create these amazing stories that they don't exist, and we create these barriers and things that we can't do when it's like you actually created that in your own head. So let's establish the fact that you did this yourself. Now, if we can establish the fact that we created these beliefs that we can't overcome, we can go the other way. Once we recognize and say it out loud, it's amazing when you put something out into the universe and you say, whatever your fear is or whatever challenge you're dealing with, it doesn't sound nearly as bad. But when you keep it inside and it's just swirling around in that beautiful brain, it can come out as it's absolutely, like I said, paralysis for some people. So just putting it out there, saying it out loud, journaling is a huge part of what my clients do. Because, again, recognizing that it's not nearly as bad as they think it is, and a lot of times it's not as good, but it makes it real when you write it down and you're like, okay, that's something I created in my own head.
I love it. That's awesome. So, JM, that being said, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about Let's Go Win, whether it's your book, whether it's coaching or engaging you as a speaker, I mean, what's the best way for them to connect overall and with you and your team and to get involved?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate it. So they can find us at letsgowin.com. There are lots of blogs and articles and different exercises that they can check out specific to this subject and many others. You can also find us at Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Let's Go Win 365.
Fantastic. Well, JM, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great things that you're doing over at Let's Go Win. And, of course, helping us out with helping people, taking people from fear to freedom. So love this. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the cast, leave me a review in the Apple iTunes store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the comment section. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And JM, thanks again for coming on the show.
Adam, such a great time. Thank you so much, and I truly hope they got some value out of it. Really appreciate being here today.